righty, everybody. Oh, you're already up. Thank you very much. Let's do our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's repeat our four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Pastor, would you please do our blessing?
Our Father in heaven, we gather today as a Rotary Club, grateful for the opportunity we have to belong to this club, grateful for the opportunity we have to be in Lovely Valley that we're in, grateful for the opportunity we have to serve those who are in this mission. We're grateful for the leadership of this club and for the things they do to make us move forward. We're grateful for the new members that have joined us to make our Rotary Club stronger. We ask them to help us as we provide service and that we may always remember to provide service of our presence. We ask you especially to guide the nations of this world to bring peace to many people, especially to those who are suffering in Ukraine. Love and blessings to comfort to be with them. We're grateful to freedom for taking blessings and bless this club. In the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen. Please be seated. Bishop, thank you very much. And he actually is a bishop.
We only have one club announcement, and that is we have one anniversary on March 25th. Mike Cooley, 35 years. Whoa! And then Kim Ryman's got two guests.
I have Tracy Jenkins with me. Tracy is the manager of our Woodstock branch of First Bank. And I have Juan Velasquez with me. Juan is the manager for our Mount Jackson office.
Wow. You're going to pretty soon have your whole bank here, right? I'm all for it. Okay, so Jan, they've set, Kim set another bar. You need to work on your bank.
Okay.
Happy dollars.
Is Rachel a guest today? Right? I think, yeah, sort of. Oh, we're giving away the program here. All right, happy dollars. These extra bucks go to eradicating polio. Excellent. Michael back from Uganda and who knows where and
everywhere.
Unbelievable. Nice to see you, Mike.
Glad to be back. Since the beginning of the year, I think it's 5 different African countries. Been gone more than I'm here, but it's good to be back to the club. I thought, how long has it been since I've been here? But I think it may have been December. But it's good to be here.
Nice to have you back, and I follow what you're doing too. Nice work. Yes, sir.
Hasn't quite been December, but I haven't been here in a while either, so.
Yeah, nice to see your face. These are all the oldies. Oh no, youngster.
Happy anniversary to you, Mike.
That's right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Just happy to be here.
Excellent. Glad to have you. Oh, here you are. I'm sorry, Sally.
I'm happy that the Ukrainians seem to be holding their own, and
Pretty amazing, huh?
pray for them.
Unbelievable. Woo. Whoops.
Big money. No.
Yeah, that is big bucks. For you, that's huge.
I know it is. I'm being honest. Happy because we have Shenandoah County 250th birthday bash on Saturday. And my youngest son turns 1 next Tuesday.
Oh, my.
29th.
And you have another older son?
Two after.
2 old.
3 boys.
You look pretty darn good.
Thanks.
We'll go on with that. Aaron?
Just happy to see great turnout today.
This is a good crowd. I'm not sure what the draw is.
Your tie.
My tie broke, by the way. Oh, it definitely did break. Yes, ma'am.
I got to plant grass yesterday, and it rained today, so it's perfect.
Couldn't be better timing.
That's right.
100% table. This is nice. Bev?
Well, I should know better to have ones instead of fives in my wallet, but it's a great cause.
Good
So,
bucks.
5 happy dollars, and I mean, many things to be happy for. My friend Karen is here today as a speaker. Rachel is announcing
future-
her desire to become a part of Rotary, and gosh, there are a lot of people here that haven't been here in a while.
Isn't this
so
nice?
Just a happy girl.
We got a good group.
I will just second Bev. Lots of happy things. I'm happy to have Karen here today as our guest, and I'm actually happy for the rain because it will mean good things, right?
Big bucks from these two.
All right.
Covered the new people.
Exactly.
Good to have you here, Rachel.
Thank you.
Stevie?
Just happy.
Excellent. Michael Beasley, where have you been?
It's just been a while.
My gosh.
Been a long
This is
road
your
to
first
glory.
time going to church.
Yes. Glad to be here.
Nice to have you, Mike. Dorian?
Yeah, happy to see you all. And then happy to see my grass gonna grow
We hope.
soon.
Yeah, we'll be complaining about that pretty soon. Rick with some big bucks.
I've got $3. One is for Michael and all the years of service that you put into this club. One is for Karen Wetzel, who I worked with on the hospital foundation for more years than I care to count. And the other one is for Rachel Logan coming in as a new member.
Good job. 100%, looking good. Stevie?
Also, welcome to Rachel. Good to have her on board. And kind of partial to swimming, but dollar for UVA winning the national championship for the ladies. Not only did they win 11 of 18 events, but the majority of those were in world record time.
And most from Shenandoah County.
Not Shenandoah County.
Oh, okay.
We're working on it.
Yep. Robert?
Bill and I were talking about some fundraiser, and we were reminiscing on the Joey Chitwood show.
Oh, gosh.
So this is for Phil Grable in memory of him who headed up that project.
Yeah. Weren't you a driver one year?
Not a chance.
Oh, I thought maybe you were the guy that did that sideway thing.
I'm not real smart, but I'm smarter than that.
Good point. Pokey Bill William?
Yeah, just a happy dot. Some of y'all may know, I have a Shane's daughter in Ukraine, and we have been keeping up with her. She was in Kiev. She's moved to the western part of Ukraine and is still there. She said she's sheltering in a house with 10 of her friends, and they're making food and stuff to send to Kiev and such. So we just kind of keep checking with her on Facebook and Messenger, and it's the story she tells are quite sad.
Good for you, buddy. 100%? I see you, Jan. I'll go this way.
You're closer. Said you got stuff.
Kim?
One for Tracy and one for one. Glad to have it.
One for what?
One.
A one. I thought you said one for one. What does that? What does that mean? No, I knew that.
I got one for Kim. I'm extremely thankful that she has brought me here and introduced me to all of you. And I have one for Juan.
What? Oh, I got it. Rich. Good to see you, Juan.
Thank you. I have one for the great people at First Bank. They've been very welcoming, and the new friendships and relationships that we're building.
You're going to say one for two.
One for two.
Yeah.
I got another one here for Steve Schaefer and the Central High School Interact. I understand there are 16 students from Central going to the district conference.
Whoa! Nice.
Yep.
That's a record. That is a record. We've never had that big a number.
Yep. Great.
Nice. Okay, let me get over to this other table with, old man Ferguson here today too. That's good. Yes, ma'am. Ann?
Good job, Steve, on the Interact.
Yeah. We needed that. Sure.
Just for polio.
Just for polio?
Not happy about it, but.
Yeah, it's okay. That's a medium dollar.
Mine's for Mike in all his years, and he is always getting his reports to me on time each month.
And you like that. Fergie? David? Dave? David F.
This dollar is for Hank Zimmerman and all he does for this club and his time, effort, and energy.
I'll go along with that. David Ferguson used to be our boss, Hank and I. One of the nicest bosses I ever had. Ooh, that was tough. Doc?
Yeah, I have two happy dollars. One is for Ukrainian courage that we've all seen on TV, and the other is for this fabulous turnout today.
Mhm.
It's great to see everybody.
Sure is. Thank you. I think we got one over there too. I'll get you, Kim.
Okay. So 5. One is I second the Doc's comments on Ukrainian courage. There's a unhappy dollar in that polio has reared its ugly head in at least 3 African countries in the wild, so that's unfortunate. Happy dollar for Rachel joining our club, and happy dollar for Tracy and Juan. So that makes 5, right? Or do I
That
need
sounded like
another
5
one?
to me. No, that was good.
Oh, okay.
You got it. Thank you. Big Al? I'll walk right into the camera.
Just walk this way. Well, I'm happy for a lot of things, but
I'll come around this way.
come around this way.
Mhm.
I'm happy that Hank is so patient as I'm trying to figure out how to become a cameraman when it's not exactly my skill set, but he's a very patient teacher.
I missed last meeting and I looked at it online and extra camera over there. You're doing a nice job, Hank.
Thanks.
Really nice stuff. Did I get everyone all set? Thank you very much.
Thank you. So with that, Gabby has got our program today. Would you like to come up and introduce?
I was hoping maybe we were gonna door prize these hats out here. 'Cause
Nah, it's for the show later. Wait.
I'm gonna talk for a minute, and I can use my teacher voice. So,
You just
okay.
hold that and then hand it back.
Okay, very good. All right, good afternoon, everyone. How is everyone? It's good to see such a good gathering here today. I'm happy to be the host today in order to present Miss Karen Wetzel. Many of you probably know Karen. I've had the pleasure of knowing her for about 25 years now since I moved to Shenandoah County. We work together in multiple capacities, but she's a professional educator, retired librarian, school administrator, school board member, and we're currently still both working together on the board of the Shenandoah Education Foundation, which is what brings her here today to speak with you. So given that we're promoting literacy and always want to offer as many opportunities to the children and students of Shenandoah County, Karen is going to share with you about the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which is a big program that we support through the Education Foundation. Okay,
Thank you.
Karen?
Thank you. I see a lot of faces I know, some of whom I haven't seen for a while, so that's great. How many of you have heard of Dolly Parton's Imagination Library? And if you haven't, you've certainly heard of Dolly Parton. I was Susan Toussaint, gave presentation to the Newmarket Rotary back in 2015, and Susan has a giant cutout of Dolly, which really went over well, but that's very hard to move around and it falls over, so I did not bring that on this rainy day. But I'm going to give you a little history of the Shenandoah Education Foundation and how we came to support the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Back in 2008, the then school superintendent, who was B. Keith Rowland, started a position at the central office, and it was a dual position. It was grant writing and it was testing assistant. And you can probably imagine which part got the most emphasis. It was testing. And that position was only there for a year, but part of having that position, Keith brought in a consultant to help set up a foundation, because believe it or not every grant that's going to support education is available for application by the school. A lot of grants have to have a 501c3 to write the grants through. So that foundation was set up, and I was one of the initial board members, and I think I'm the only one remaining of the initial group. But the initial group had people like Chris Brown, some of you may know, who's from around here. And at one point, Willie Pirtle was chairman of the Shenandoah Education Foundation. The Education Foundation supports music in the schools primarily through instrument repair. It also supports scholarships. It supports the Teacher of the Year program. In the spring of 2012, two Shenandoah County teachers, Susan Tusing and Dana Conlon, were working on a graduate class in reading, and for their project, they decided to write a proposal for how you would set up Dolly Parton's Imagination Library for Shenandoah County. And what the Dolly Parton Imagination Library does, for every preschool child who's registered, they get a book every month, and the book also has tips for parents on how to help them with the book. And I'll talk more about the books in a little bit. And you do have a handout that tells you about the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library and also why reading is important to young children. Anyway, Dana and Susan, once they finished their class, they decided we're not going to just let this be a proposal, something we did for class. We're going to actually start this Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, the Shenandoah County chapter. And so they were looking for someone to be the fiscal agent, and they came to the Shenandoah Education Foundation. And many people think Dolly Parton funds the whole program, but that's not true. Dolly Parton's Foundation does, they supply the books, and the first book every time is Little Engine That Could, and Dolly writes a special message. And the books are printed especially for the foundation, but the local chapter has to pay the postage to send it to the children. And the cost is about $25 per person per year. So they wanted to implement it. The board assigned me to research the other Dolly Parton Imagination Library chapters in Virginia, and there were 9 on a list that I got. The closest one was probably the greater Augusta County one, which is Augusta County, Waynesboro, and Stanton. Theirs is funded through the United Way. They have a full-time director, and they've been operating very successfully for quite a while. Several of the 9 had shut down, which is really sad. And one thing the foundation and Dana and Susan wanted to be sure of is if we start this, we don't want to start sending the books and then run out of money and we have to stop, because that would not be a good thing. There was a Rotary connection with one of the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. The one in Herndon, Virginia, the fiscal agent is the Rotary Club. And the gentleman I talked to there was Richard Downer. Some of you may know him because he once lived in Woodstock. But anyway, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library is on the Rotary Foundation list as one of the approved groups. And so the Shenandoah Education Foundation agreed to be the fiscal sponsor, but the 2 teachers, Dana and Susan, they were responsible for raising the money, although the Education Foundation helps with that. So in 2013, the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library started. Now, Dana and Susan were both full-time teachers, but they did this work on their own outside of class. They didn't get paid, and they started fundraising, and then they started registering children online. Then Dana left Shenandoah County for a while, and Susan was doing it on her own. In 2015, Susan and I gave this presentation to the Newmarket Rotary Club. I wish I could have had her here today, and I did try to get her, but she's gone from being a reading specialist to second grade teacher this year, and so she does not like to leave her class, but she's very passionate. If you ever get a chance to talk to her, she knows a lot about the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. I'm real proud of her because I was her elementary librarian and I was her high school principal. Not to say that that contributed to her success, but she's very passionate. Some of you may know the late Larry Strawderman, who was in the Newmarket Rotary. Larry was very good about having their Rotary Club do some fundraisers. They always do a golf tournament and they give money to someone, so they helped out too. Do you know that in the state of Tennessee, the state legislature pays for every student in Tennessee to be in the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library? So every child in Tennessee gets the books, and hopefully that will be something that could happen here at some time. There have been many good funding sources for the Shenandoah Education Foundation, specifically for the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. The More Education Trust back in 2017 contributed $10,000 a year for 5 years, and that helped get the program going. And you can see the statistics on your sheet. It'll tell you the current enrollment, how many have graduated, and the real exciting thing is pretty soon there will be 100,000 books that have been given away. Anyway, the United Way of the Northern Shenandoah Valley has been a funding source, and I've helped write several grants with them. They're a little harder to, their grants are a little bit more complicated because you do a written grant, then you go do a presentation. They have some requirements like having a full audit by a professional auditing firm that actually it's not as cost effective as some other grants, but we did do those and we've presented there. The Shenandoah County Library Foundation provided $4,250 to address the waiting list, and I think that was 2020. Yes, and committed to do that. And that's great because there was a waiting list until just recently, and anyway, there was a waiting list, but that helped get some of the children off the waiting list. The Shenandoah Community Foundation has provided grants. We've written the grants and so forth. Then the Shenandoah Education Foundation does contribute yearly, and some churches, businesses, individuals do contribute also. We were getting down to where the Dolly Parton's line item had less than $1,000, which is not enough to pay for even a month, when the Moore Trust stepped up again and they gave us money to continue. Right now, we've got 1,276 children registered. The 2020 census shows that there are 2,430 children under the age of 5 who would be eligible. So our goal really is to enroll every child. We don't want to have any of the children that don't get enrolled. But we haven't been advertising for the past few years because there has not been enough money to add children. But and even we had a meeting of the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library Advisory Team, which is part of the Education Foundation, last week, and Susan pulled up the information to show us, and there were 4 on the waiting list already. So the word does get out, and what we're hoping to do is start doing more advertising. This actually held little flyers about Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, and we'd put them in pediatricians' offices, in places where they could, people could promote it. And we cannot discriminate on which children get the books. It's any child who lives in Shenandoah County who gets registered. So we got about half of the children eligible registered. And let's see. The question and answer sheet will explain some of the things. Basically, a child's registered. They stay on until they're 5 years old and ready to go to kindergarten. They receive a book monthly, and the books have things for parents. And I told you the first one is always the little engine that could. Then after that, they're not always the same for every child. So if there are more than one child in the family, they get something different. The last book is always, Look Out Kindergarten, Here I Come. And then the books, they can range from classics. This is a Caldecott metal book that I used to read to my elementary library students. It seemed like every time I read it, it snowed and we had a snow day. And that's why it wasn't while I was reading it. But I read this in January. I do volunteer preschool story times for the Newmarket Area Library. This one, Llama Llama Red Pajama, is one of my favorites. I've got a little stuffed llama. I read this to our PJ party at the library, but this is one that children may get. And some of them are new books that I'm not familiar with, but this is an old tried and true one, The Story of Ferdinand, which was made into a movie recently. Do you know what year this book was copyrighted? 1936. It's an oldie but goodie. So there are all kinds of books. Susan actually gave me a big tote bag full, but I didn't want to drag them all in the rain and get them wet. But there are a lot of different books. Now, Page County just started a Dolly Parton's Imagination Library a couple of years ago, and theirs is through the United Way because they had their own United Way, which now has merged with the United Way of the Northern Shenandoah Valley. And Harrisonburg-Rockingham County just got one started very recently. So I'm real proud that we were one of the first ones, well, actually the first one in the Northern Shenandoah Valley. Susan has done some research on, does this make any difference with kids who have the Dolly Parton's books and those that don't? And she's worked with the school division with the PALS test, which every kindergartner gets. And the research has shown that it does make a difference. The parents, of course, the parents give permission to fill out the survey. And if you'd like to see that data, Gabby can send it to you. I didn't want to do a lot of handouts and kill a lot of trees today. But that's one thing. During the pandemic, that's been sort of on hold. But it does show, and you can see on the back of the one sheet, why reading is important and how the gap can increase for students who don't get read to. Because if they're not read to, they're not getting a big vocabulary, and they're not going to be doing as well in school. The exciting news is Dana has now returned to Shenandoah County, and she's actually working in the school division. And so she was at our advisory committee the other day, and she wants to start helping Susan do the data entry, because it sounds simple. You just register the child. But actually, you have to do a little checking out, because they've got to live in Shenandoah County, and they have to be the right age. And sometimes she gets people that not anyone that you all know that try to cheat, like they try to register their 10-year-old, or mom and dad are separated, so they try to get a book sent to both places. So there's some detective work that goes on. In the past, the registration, they could fill out a little form and then Susan would enter it, but now we're going to go to all electronic. So before the pandemic, we had the advisory team that met regularly and did literacy activities, which the big foundation likes us to do. We do a lot of them in cooperation with the Shenandoah County Library, and Eric is going to be back on our advisory committee. And so we're going to start doing some more literacy activities, et cetera. If you have a chance, write a note to Susan and Dana and thank them for what they did to start the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. And if you can support it in any way, please do. Do you have any questions? Yes?
So I know all this is for Shenandoah County, but what's the best way, like if we know someone and we want to be able to gift this in some way or make sure that they register their newborn?
In Shenandoah County?
If they're not in Shenandoah County, what's the best route to take?
You'd have to check and see if there is an Imagination Library in their county, because it's got to go through a local chapter which pays the postage, even if even if you agree to pay for it. But sometimes some of the churches have in the past done an angel tree where you could pay $25 and you'd be supporting one child. You're not picking which child you'd support, but. I think it does, yes. I think the website does have a chapter, the chapter listing. Dolly Parton's Imagination Library has their own Facebook page. It's not a real professional one because I do it, but you might want to check that out. And the Shenandoah County Education Foundation has a Facebook page, and Gabby's daughter is going to volunteer to help get that updated. And a website, too. Any other questions? All right.
If your child's older than 5, would it go in register?
Yes, it's preschool. It's for preschool students. Yes, and hopefully then they get into school and they can check out books from the library, etc. One of the really things that we thought was valuable during the pandemic was, though, that when the children were all doing virtual, older children could easily read the books with the younger children. So we think that was a real advantage, having those books keep coming. And as far as I know, they're getting to the houses on time. I know some of my mail's not getting to my house in a timely fashion, but I think the books are doing fine. Yes, ma'am. That's good.
If you have like a 2-year-old and then you have another child, are they likely going to just get the same books?
No, they differentiate. They'll get the same beginning book and the same ending book, but they will get different books. And if you have a child who's 2 years old and you didn't get them registered, then you can still register them. And if we reach the limit to what we can pay, we'll have a waiting list again, but hopefully, hopefully not.
Karen, I want to say thank you because both of my older boys, we did this. Susan had come around when you started it in 2013. I don't think I should do that. Board books, and she said, do it. Both of my 10 and 8 now, 10 year olds, they loved it in getting a book and then.
Right.
But they would love it and wait for it. We get it out of the mailbox, and they had the best time. So if you all know anyone, it was great. And I'm glad we saved them.
Right. Yes, we've heard that a lot, and that's one thing. We can't say it's for low-income children or children whose parents can't afford books. It's for everybody. Some parents do make a donation if to let other children get involved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So just to let you all know what else is coming on here, we've got a new member induction. We've got a club vote. I'm going back to doing new member introductions, and then the main event of this meeting is the Jake and Elwood Blues are doing going to do their act, and then so please stick around for that. So with that said, Rick, would you like to come up? And Bev and Rachel. I'll give that to you.
All right. Well, Allie Coffey got in touch with me to say that she is Rachel Logan's sponsor, but she could not be here today. She asked me to stand in as a surrogate sponsor today, and I was delighted to do so. It is my supreme pleasure to introduce to you Rachel Logan. Rachel lives in Shenandoah County. She is married to Judge Chad Logan. They have 3 beautiful children, twin daughters, Cora and Caroline, and an adorable tow-headed little Jack. Rachel has a law practice here in Woodstock, Logan and Logan. You're just up Port Street, right? Okay, very good. And Rachel began to check out and let us know that she was interested in Rotary back before Christmas. She was a volunteer with our Santa Express project. I am very excited to welcome her and look forward to her membership in Woodstock Rotary.
Okay. Rachel, we will now proceed to admit you to membership in the Rotary Club of Woodstock and to the Fellowship of Rotary throughout the world. The motto of Rotary is service above self. The object of this Rotary Club and all Rotary Clubs is to encourage and promote this ideal of service as a basis of all worthy enterprise. Rotary seeks to promote the highest ethical standards in businesses and professions and urges you to apply the ideal of service to your personal, business, and community life. Your membership in this Rotary Club will afford you an opportunity to cultivate the friendship of persons in other vocations, and it calls on you to dignify your own vocation by making it a channel through which you may better serve your community. You've been approved for membership in this Rotary Club because our members believe you to be a worthy representative of your vocation and profession. We believe you to be interested in the ideals of Rotary, and we believe you are willing to do your share to turn these ideals into reality. Our Rotary Information Committee will explain to you the responsibilities and obligations imposed by Rotary. Knowing these responsibilities and obligations, you are asked to make the following declarations. Please repeat after me. Honor of membership
I accept the honor of membership
in the Rotary Club
of Woodstock.
the obligations attached thereto.
Attached thereto.
I pledge myself to render
I pledge myself to render
the most willing service
the most willing service
of which I am capable,
of which I am capable,
and
do my utmost
to carry out the Rotary motto
to carry out the Rotary
of self.
of service.
I will now ask your sponsor to present you with your Rotary lapel pin for the Rotary Club of Woodstock, but into the greater fellowship of Rotary throughout the world.
Thank you.
And I call upon my fellow Rotarians to congratulate you with a standing ovation. Congratulations and welcome to Rotary.
This way more?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yes, you went this way. Okay, you'll
Yeah,
like it.
whatever.
Okay.
There you go.
Great,
And
thank you
here's
very much.
here's a packet of material. Okay.
Very good. Thank
Okay.
you very
Thank you.
much.
Welcome to the club. Okay. So the next item is I'm asking for a vote. So at the assembly, which is last Wednesday, I presented to the club a number of grants that the foundation, the club's foundation, wants to award to local nonprofits, and so I sent an email out, asked everybody to take a look at them because I know we didn't have a lot of attendance at last Wednesday's club, so hopefully everybody's had a chance to do that. And board has approved these grant awards, and so now I'm asking for a vote confirming that among the club members. So I'd ask all in favor of making those grant awards to say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. I don't know if this requires a formal motion, Bob. We did that at the board meeting for sure. Okay. Okay, and then last at 2 meetings ago, we started something that was done back. I think the last time we did was under Sandy's presidency, mostly because things went off the rails with COVID, and that was to introduce members to the club. And it ends up being a red ribbon requirement that new members introduce themselves to the club. So I thought it would be a good thing to resurrect that. And then after doing that first one, Rick suggested that it's also a good idea that what happened when Sandy was doing it, they had a trophy that passed around, and the individual who had the first introduction then could hand it to anybody in the club to introduce themselves to the rest of the club. So having said that, I've got one new member who's a cameraman, so just you can come on up. And Al, we're going to ask you to introduce yourself to the club. You can borrow my microphone.
Thank you, sir.
You just hold it.
Okay. I'll keep it real simple. I haven't had a particularly exciting story. It's Northern Virginia refugee. My wife and I bought a house down here 16 years ago with the plans of retiring, and about 8 years ago we moved here. My wife was able to retire. I worked a few more years and retired 4.5 years ago. So I don't know the lay of the land very well, but I'm learning, and I'm grateful through organizations like this. I'm getting to meet a lot of really nice people. I spent my life in clearly the most exciting industry you can think of. I was a paint salesman. I primarily managed paint salesman, sales manager for about 30 years. I spent about 42 years in the industry. And yeah, I know all the jokes about drying paint, but actually wood still rots and metal rusts, and there's a need for paint. I loved what I did. I had such a great relationship with my old employer that we still talk regularly, and it's nice to feel like you're still relevant when you're an old guy. Personally, not exciting story. lifelong drummer. I've been in bands my entire life, even played a little music with Hank. Also a serious motorcycle enthusiast, which I continue to this day. Requirements for where we retired was finding a nice place to ride motorcycles. Down here, I am on the board of directors at the Shenandoah Community Health Clinic. I am a new Rotarian who's learning the ropes, and similar but not exactly the same as this young lady was talking about. I started the first chapter in Virginia of an organization called First Readers, which is an organization that promotes early childhood literacy. So I'm a huge believer in what folks are doing. Extraordinary organization, and I hope I can make, and we can make a 10th, 50th of the impact that Dolly's made in the Shenandoah Valley, but we're going to try to help. And other than that, I'm not a very exciting guy, but I'm fun to have around.
You got to pass the four-way test hourglass to whomever you'd like, and the microphone too. Pick someone.
Okay, I don't know a ton of guys, but I do know this fellow over here.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble now.
Yes, we are.
This is for today? I gotta do this. Oh no, I gotta come up there. Oh, that's a heck of a nice trophy. It works better than the last one we used to use.
Well, if you flip it up, then you know how much longer you have to talk, see?
Oh, okay, good. Let's shake it. Make this thing work. My name's Ed Markle. Been in this club a good long time. There's the thing that's scary. I look around and there's fewer and fewer people each month that remembers when I started, and that's saying something. I live over at Narrow Passage along the river at the old Colonial Inn down there. Right now, the kids are all grown up and moved out. They're all in Northern Virginia, making the big bucks. So it's just me and my wife and all the critters that take over. I came out of the manufacturing world, U.S. Air Force, Scouts, Civil Air Patrol, 4-H, all kinds of good things in the past. So when you badmouth an organization, I usually put a few hours in those things and can sympathize. I've really loved this organization. It gives you an opportunity to do good things around the world and not just the local community, but that's been super fun. The guys were talking about Joey Chitwood here earlier, and that was our great fundraiser that brought all the team members together every year for a real good time. Trouble was we had thunderstorms, rain, lightning, and one of the good bankers here, Alan White, was, and Crawford Moon from the Military Academy, taught me the ropes of how to work the ticket booth. And I guess the big trick was when it started to rain, you got the heck out of Dodge real quick, because we didn't like to give refunds, and it was all for a good cause. And Emma Randall was helping me one night, and we were counting the money in there before we ran. And Alan says, nope, don't do that. We got to grab it and run. We'll count it back in the bank. So it was fair to all concerned and say the money went to a good cause. But like the music festival, we try not to give any refunds if we don't have to, because that raises all kinds of trouble. The book program that we did, we built shelves and worked on books for the local schools here, and had a lot of good fun with that, with all kinds of people that we never knew they had the expertise in different jobs of sanding and staining and picking out books. I guess I've pretty well blown through it here. I think we're out of time.
And your sand is up, so it's perfect.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ed. Okay, now for the main event. I'd like to introduce our own Jake and Elwood Blues. They're going to be performing at the district conference. So, and actually you don't need microphones, do you?
No. Quick rundown. I know we're late, but he won't do that. I don't need it.
You don't need it? Okay.
Every year at the district conference, there's an evening for raising money for Polio Plus. 2 years ago at Tim's conference, it was a karaoke contest. This year, it is a lip sync battle among the 15 areas in the district. So everybody had to come up with an act. I had nobody from the area volunteer except you know who. who is always willing to volunteer for all kinds of things. So if any of you would like to support this further, all of the clubs in the area are kicking in money toward this. If you'd like to individually, you can make a check out to the Woodstock Rotary Foundation on the 4 line, put Lip Sync Battle, and you will get credit also through the foundation for this. I say that here at the beginning because I hope after you see this, it won't deter you from sponsoring. Anyway, here we go.
We've had a half an hour of practice. I say 20 minutes. Steve is on his deathbed since last week, and he has oxygen back in his car. So after this, I'm sure he'll be out there pretty quickly. So this is sort of good.
My sunglasses, so I look all my house with sunglasses, and no one said I could borrow my granddaughter's. That'll have to do.
sponge underneath you, sweating like a pig. You better get out of here, buddy. Not contagious.
No.
Not contagious.
Two things before I ring everybody out. So we've got
Good
a,
job.
we have our 50-50. I'm going to ask Karen to come up and draw a ticket. And then also, just a couple quick announcements. Don't forget that you can always make up your meetings at woodstockrotary.com, and don't forget to enter them into DACDB, number one. Number two, you can sign up for all the projects there too. So with that, if you can draw a ticket. Put this on your hat. So that is 328. Okay, Bob. Big bucks. How many bucks? How many bucks was Steve? $31.
Well, that's all an ace right there, so I won't pull that.
That's it. That's not an ace. Your eyes are as bad as mine. Oh, where they all go?
That's the one I've got.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, thank everyone for coming. And don't forget to give money to our lip sync contestants.